Today we are just 10 days away from the United States kicking off the 2026 World Cup. I know you guys have hearing so much about it. Some of you guys, especially on this college football podcast, might be like, I don't really care, but I hope that you guys care. And today we're going to take a look. I'm going to introduce you guys to the 26-man roster that the United States is taking to the home World Cup, the first time since 1994 that we've been able to host the World Cup. Again, I know that this is a college football podcast, but this week I wanted to do something a little bit different for this once-in-a-generation type of thing, and I really wanted to pay attention and introduce you guys so you guys know what's going on with the World Cup and just get it out there so that more people can watch it. And I wanted to get a little bit different here this week on the podcast. I know I missed last week. I was a little sick, but we're back this week talking about something a little bit different, throwing in a little curveball this week. But let's get right into the 26-man roster for the United States men's national team for the 2026 World Cup. And starting off, probably the least important player on the team is going to be Chris Brady, the backup goalie. All right, we're going to start with our goalies. This guy, he's from the Chicago Fire. That's where he plays his club soccer. So he doesn't play a lot. He's only 22 years old. He doesn't play a lot for the United States. He's only made one appearance, and that was yesterday. I'm recording this on Monday, uploading it on Tuesday. So I guess 2 days ago for you guys. Against Senegal, he made his first ever appearance, didn't play super well, so I don't imagine him playing all that much this summer, but a key guy if one of our goalies goes down. We'll see if he gets a little bit of playing time. Not super important there, but the second string goalie, in my opinion, he might end up starting. He did start in 2022 at that World Cup, but Matt Turner, the New England Revolution goalkeeper, he's been the guy for a long time for the United States. But last year in 2025, he's bounced around from club to club, didn't play a lot, so he ended up moving to the New England Revolution, where he is finally playing, but while he wasn't playing at club level, he wasn't playing very well at the national level either. So, a guy by the name of Matt Freese, the number one goalie, in my opinion, the starter for every single game at the World Cup this year, Matt Freese, the NYCFC, New York City Football Club. He is going to be the number one goalie. Super important guy. He only has 14 caps compared to Matt Turner's 53 appearances in goal for the United States. But Matt Freese, he's a really solid guy. He's really good at penalties. The whole reason why he got the job and really won the job is whenever last year in the Gold Cup, which is a region-based tournament, they played really well in the knockout rounds. Matt Freese came in during a penalty shootout and saved like 2 or 3 penalties. Really huge moment, really big moment there for Matt Freese. Came up huge, and now he's our number one starting goalie. He's really good. He's not going to be, Tim Howard. I know a lot of people only watch soccer about every 4 years, right? You watch the U.S. men's national team every 4 years at the World Cup, and then you move on, don't watch it again for 4 years. I hope that changes. I hope that everyone tunes into soccer and wants to watch soccer after the World Cup this year, and hopefully everyone gets to see what the sport is and what makes it so awesome and why I love it and why it's my second favorite sport. I know I don't talk about it on this podcast, but I watch it a ton. A lot of the media that I consume has to do with the United States men's national team. But my point is with Matt Freese, he's not going to be a Tim Howard. He's not going to be a Brad Friedel. He's not going to be one of those really good goalies that the United States men's national team has had in the past. It's definitely probably the weakest goalie that we've ever brought to a World Cup, but he does have that potential to maybe make a really good save here and there. He's not going to do anything crazy. He's not going to be having 16 saves against Belgium like Tim Howard did, but he's a very solid keeper. He's not going to be anything terrible, right? He's just not going to be anything special. So hopefully our defense, which is also a little bit shaky, which we will get to in just a second, hopefully our defense can hold up so there's not too many shots on him. We are playing 2 teams in the group stage that don't attack a lot, aren't very offensive-minded teams, so hopefully that'll help a lot, and we will get to that at the very end of the episode as well. Before we get there, I gotta get into the defense. Okay, look, the player on the roster that's probably, in my opinion, the worst player, no disrespect to him, he's on the World Cup team, that's very impressive, but he's really not all that good. He's probably not going to play very much. It's Miles Robinson, FC Cincinnati center back. He does play in America. 38 appearances for the United States men's national team. I just don't see him playing very much, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on him. He just doesn't play very good. He made a mistake yesterday. He cost us a goal against Senegal in our last friendly, so really don't expect him to play. If he is playing, then a lot of people have gotten hurt, and something has went terribly wrong. So moving on to probably the second least important is going to be Austin Trusty. He plays for Celtic over in Scotland. He only has 6 caps for the United States men's national team, but he did play super well against Portugal in the March friendly windows. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. Not sure if he's going to play very much, but can definitely see him making an impact here and there if someone goes down. Now, another backup center back is going to be Joe Scally. He can play either as a wing back, which would be on the very outside playing that defensive role, or he can be on the inside in that center back role. We're probably going to play with 3 center backs, right? So we're going to have 3 center backs and then 2 wing backs, so 5 defenders total. And then he'll play on that right center back kind of role. So I don't see him playing a lot. I think his spot has gotten taken by a player that we'll talk about in a second named Alex Freeman. But he can be solid. He's one of those guys that if someone goes down, if we just need a sub in that situation for whatever reason, he can come in and do a really good job. He's the fastest non-German to get to 150 appearances in the Bundesliga, which is the German league over in Europe. That is a very impressive feat and not to be taken lightly. So Joe Scally, very solid player, just not going to wow you, not going to make any crazy plays or anything like that. Similar to my next guy, which is Mark McKenzie, plays for Toulouse in France, a really solid player. He played very well against Senegal, but I just don't see him fitting in to the starting 11. I think he's probably going to be the first center back off the bench. And the issue is that Chris Richards, probably our best center back, is a little banged up right now. So if he can play 100%, if he's totally fine, then Mark McKenzie isn't going to play. But if he's hurt and for whatever reason Chris Richards can't go, Mark McKenzie's going to be that first guy off the bench, and you could see a lot of him this summer. Now, getting to Alex Freeman, the guy who I think is above that Joe Scally guy that I was just talking about, he plays for Villarreal over in Spain, a very, very, very good team. Doesn't play a lot there for his club. Just went over there in the winter transfer window, so he just kind of moved over there. He was at Orlando City, moved from Orlando to Villarreal, and he played a little bit, but whenever he did play, he played very, very, very well. Super young guy. He's the son of a former NFL player. He's going to have a ton of potential, a lot of good stuff from him. He's going to play in that right center back role where I see a lot of ability for him to get forward and play in an offensive-minded center back role, if that kind of makes sense. His main priority is going to be defending, but if there's an opportunity for him to get forward, maybe shoot from outside the box, he's very well going to do that, and he can do that very, very, very well. A lot of potential there with Alex Freeman. I think he's potentially our breakout star of this World Cup just because he's super young, doesn't play a lot of Villarreal, but whenever he does play, he's always playing really, really, really well. Even in that really, really, really good league in Spain, you have to play against the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid. That's tough to play against, but he plays really well whenever he does. So really excited to see what Alex Freeman can do. I think he's going to be the breakout star of the World Cup. Really, really curious to see what he can do. But now getting to the 2 most important center backs. Number 1 is going to be Chris Richards. Okay, he's arguably our most important player. Plays at Crystal Palace in the Premier League week in, week out, starting every single game. Super, super reliable. He's just an absolute wall back there. No one gets past him. One of the most important players on this team because, like I just talked about, all the players below him, they're not anything that special. A lot of the players they're good, they're solid, they can give you a good shift, but they're not anything crazy. They're not going to make, an insane tackle here and there, a goal-saving tackle here and there. Chris Richards can do that. He's one of the best center backs in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world. He is going to be essential to this World Cup run. If you see the United States making a run in the World Cup, a big part of it is going to be Chris Richards. He's going to be one of the most important players there. He's going to need to be healthy. If he's not healthy, we're going to have a really rough World Cup. We're going to get beat in the back a lot. So hopefully he can be there. Hopefully he can be healthy and we can get our most important player on the field so that people aren't scoring on us, man. If you don't let anybody else score, you're halfway there to a win. Now moving on to our captain, Tim Ream. It's already been announced that Tim Ream, the 37-year-old from Charlotte FC, is going to be our captain. He has 80 appearances as a United States men's national team international. He's a really, really decent player. He's not anything special. Not going to wow you. He's super slow. He's 37 years old. To me, I'm not even sure if he should be starting, in my opinion. I think Mark McKenzie should be, but he is a captain. He's a really, really good leader for that group. Everyone turns to him whenever there's an issue, mostly just because he's been around for so long, but I get it. I get it. Tim Ream is one of the most important players in terms of mindset. He's like an extra coach on the field. He's one of the most important players just in that mindset type of role. He can get the players going whenever there's an issue. People are going to look to him, and he can calm everybody down. Hopefully, his speed does not come up as an issue. Look, like I said, we're going to be playing with 3 center backs, so that's lots of coverage in the back. So hopefully we can cover up his speed issues that he does have because he is super, super slow. But He's going to be the leader. He's going to be the guy that everyone turns to. So Tim Ream, super important. He just has to be out there because he is our captain. But hopefully he doesn't get burnt on the back end. Now, that's our weakest positions. If you want some good news, the two positions that I just talked about are easily our worst positions. The goalie and the center backs, easily our worst positions on the team. And honestly, it did not sound all that bad, now did it? I mean, it was a little rough, and I know I just said that one of our starters shouldn't be starting. But other than that, I mean, look, Chris Richards is one of the best center backs in the Premier League. We have a ton of talent on this team. It's one of the most talented teams that we've ever... No, I take that back. It is the most talented team that we've ever taken to the World Cup. And we'll talk about this later in the episode, but it's just that mindset that they have to get through to, hey, we're going to go and beat anybody that we play with. Anybody that's across the field, we can go beat them. That's the only issue that this team is having right now, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the episode, just, towards the end whenever I'm talking about, hey, what to expect from this team. But I really like what the center backs have. I don't love it. I like it. I don't love it. Goalie's a little shaky, but let's get to the most important positions, the positions that we're the best at, which is pretty much everything else. We are very, very solid everywhere else. Just the back. The back is a little rough, but let's talk about the wing backs. So I just talked about the three center backs that we're going to have. Now I want to talk about the wing backs, right? The wing backs that are going to play a little bit more forward from those three center backs, but still kind of a defensive mindset a little bit. They're going to be trying to get forward a lot and go and score goals and go and get assists, get balls into the box. That's going to be super important for them. But it is kind of still a defender position. But let's get right into it, okay? Max Arfson, he only has 18 caps for the Columbus Crew. Don't think he's going to play a ton. If he is playing a lot, then someone got hurt and we're having a real issue. But Max Arfson, he's super reliable going forward. Terrible defender. So if we're in a position where we need a goal really, really, really bad, I could see us subbing him in just to get forward and make sure that we're going forward and not going backwards, because Max Arfson does not go backwards. So hopefully he doesn't have to play a lot. If he does, that just means that we're losing or something like that and we really need a goal. So hopefully he's not playing a ton. But if he is, he can go forward and get us a really good pass into the box and then score a goal or something like that. So lots of potential there with Max Arfson. Not sure how he's going to be defending-wise, but... Next is Tim Weah. I'm sure that is a name that you've heard before. He scored in the last World Cup whenever we played a very different formation, which fit him a lot better, gave him a lot more opportunities to play. This year, we're just playing a type of formation that doesn't fit him super well. So Tim Weah, I assume, will be coming off the bench, which is super weird to say after he scored in a World Cup in 2022. Look, he's probably gotten better than he was in 2022. It's just this formation doesn't fit him as well. So he's probably going to be playing that right wing back position, and I think that he's going to be a really good player off the bench because his best quality is that he is super, super fast. Okay, so whenever you start that far back, that wing back position, you have so much room to go forward and get your speed going before you get to the back line of the other team's defense. So he'll be blowing by people. I want you guys to imagine probably one of our fastest players on the team in Tim Weah. He comes in around probably the 65th, 60th minute, and he's playing against probably 4 or 5 defenders that have been defending for their lives and trying so hard not to let us score. And then you bring in a guy like Tim Weah, who's one of the fastest players that we have. That's going to be tough to defend against on tired legs. That's where I see Tim Weah making the biggest impact, is because he is going to come in against already tired defenders and he's going to make a huge impact. That's going to be one of the most important players off the bench, especially because the guy that we're going to talk about next has been hurt a little bit here and there. He's going to be one of the most important players off the bench. He's going to come in a lot. He's going to play a lot. He's not going to start. If he is starting, I wouldn't hate it either. He's a very, very, very good player if he was starting. Don't think he should be, just because the two other players in those wing-back positions are super, super good. But I do think that he has a ton of potential. He's going to come in and make a huge impact off the bench. Now, Serginho Dest, he's going to be starting in that right wing-back's position, okay? He is one of our most important players. He gets forward extremely well. He used to play for a little club in Spain called Barcelona. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. He used to play there. He moved to PSV, which is in Netherlands. He has 37 caps for the United States men's national team. He's a very, very reliable player. His defending, it's a little iffy. Look, Tim Weah is probably a better defender than Serginho Dest, but Serginho Dest going forward is just such a good player. He can make guys miss. He was making 3 or 4 guys miss every single play against Senegal just yesterday. So he's a super good player. really, really incredible going forward, can get balls into the box. He just scored against Senegal yesterday because he was so far forward. Even as a defender, he was in this position that a striker should be. He's so good at getting forward and getting past players. So hopefully he can have that kind of impact in the World Cup for us. I think he will. He's going to get forward. He's going to get crosses into the box. He's going to make a huge, huge impact. One of our best players, one of the players that can make a really huge impact. And then another one of our best players, Anthony Robinson, who goes by the nickname of Jedi. So we will be calling him Jedi Robinson. His name is Jedi. Look, this kid's absolutely great. He's not a kid anymore. He's kind of older. He's like 27 or so. But he plays at Fulham over in England in the Premier League. Plays every single week for Fulham. The same team that Clint Dempsey once played for, if you guys remember that name from 2014, 2010, and 2006. Watching those World Cups, Clint Dempsey also played at Fulham. That's where Jedi Robinson now plays. He plays and makes a huge impact. He's one of the best players on that team. He's really good at getting forward as well, but he's also more of a defensive guy. His defense is probably the best wingback position that we have. Really good one-on-one defending there on the left side, but he also can get forward. He can make those overlapping runs. He'll be on the same side as one Christian Pulisic. So if Christian Pulisic's getting forward, he can either go overlap or underlap and make really, really good runs into the box and hopefully score goals, or make an overlapping run, get him the ball, cross into the box, and then we score. That's how I see Jedi Robinson playing. He's going to make a huge impact for this team. Now, our defensive midfielders are a little thin. Look, we have a couple really good players, but they're a little thin. Christian Roldan plays at Seattle Sounders FC. He has 45 caps for the United States men's national team, and he was at the 2022 World Cup. Didn't play super well there. He's back at the 2026 World Cup despite a lot of controversy. Not a lot of people think that he should be here. Not sure if he's going to play a lot, but we're just super thin at the defensive midfielder. So I just talked about the 3 center backs. I talked about the 2 wing backs. Those are our 5 defenders. Now moving forward a little bit on the field, we're going to have 2 defensive midfielders. Now who is going to be playing those positions? Now Christian Roldan, like I just said, he's the vibes guy. He's the guy. He's one of the best teammates out there. He's one of those dudes that, look, he's not the greatest on the field, but he has the right mindset. He has the right mentality. He's a really, really good teammate. He's the vibes guy. He can be a really important motivator, really good teammate, really good, kind of one of those kind of guys. A glue guy. That's the word I'm looking for. He's a glue guy. He's going to be super important at the 2026 World Cup, just in terms of the mindset that the team has. Not sure if he's going to play a lot. I hope he doesn't, because honestly, he's not that good. But he's really good mentally. He's going to be very important. Now, moving on to Sebastian Berhalter. And if you know the name Berhalter, it's because the last coach at the 2022 World Cup, that was Greg Berhalter, Sebastian Berhalter's dad. Now, no nepotism anymore. We have a brand new head coach, Mauricio Pochettino. He is our new head coach, so no nepotism there. But Sebastian Berhalter, he actually never played under Greg Berhalter, which is super interesting. Never played for his dad, but he's now on the team, now makes a very, very, very important impact on the team. I'm curious if he comes in and plays. Look, how I see Sebastian Berhalter making an impact on this team is that he is very, very, very good at set pieces, which is whenever we get a free kick and we got to kick the ball again, or whenever we have a corner kick, that's a set piece. Any type of thing where the ball is stopped and then you kick it, that's a set piece, right? He's very good at delivering those into the box and getting a very, very good delivery to our guys that are up front. So I see Sebastian Berhalter, say it's like, I don't know, the 70th, 80th minute, and we got a penalty kind of far out from the box, but that's whenever Sebastian Berhalter is going to come in. Mauricio Pochettino is going to look back at his bench, yell at Sebastian Berhalter, and he's going to go out there, and he's going to go and take that free kick. He's going to put the ball into the box, and then we're going to score. That's how I see Sebastian Berhalter making an impact on this team. He's not the best whenever it comes to actually playing soccer, right? He's not the best whenever it comes to defending. He's a little shaky. He's solid. He's not anything terrible, but he does leave a little bit to be desired out there. But again, the set piece is the best set piece delivery on the team. So that's how he's going to make his impact at the 2026 World Cup. He does play for Vancouver. He's playing very well for Vancouver up in the MLS. So he is playing in the MLS, which is a weaker league. I think he can make a huge impact off the bench, coming in as a super sub to make those set piece deliveries. Now, getting to the starters for the defensive midfielders, we have one set in stone starter at the defensive midfield position. That's going to be Tyler Adams. Look, you probably know him. He was the captain of the team, the youngest captain in U.S. men's national team history at a World Cup at the 2022 World Cup. So he has 52 appearances for the United States men's national team. He plays for Bournemouth over in the Premier League. He plays every single week. One of the most important players, if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he is very injury prone. He plays every single week in the Premier League. Very, very, very reliable. Very, very good player. A leader, whether he has the armband or not. Again, I said Tim Ream's going to be our captain for the 2026 World Cup. So, I'm not sure if Tyler Adams is going to be able to have that impact that he did have in 2022. But again, he doesn't need that armband to be a leader. He's going to be a very important piece of this team. One of the best players that we have, going to be super important. Defending that midfield, going to be super important to make sure that no runs, making sure nobody's getting unmarked in the midfield. He's going to be super important, and hopefully he can stay healthy because, like I said, we're a little thin at the defensive midfielder position. There were a few roster decisions that Mauricio Pochettino had to make, and he left a few defensive midfielders off the roster that could have been there. Tyler Adams is going to be super important. If he goes down, if he gets hurt, it's going to be I'm going to get a little nervous for the World Cup. But hopefully he can stay healthy, and if he does, then I think he's going to be one of the most important players on the team. Now, these two players that I'm about to talk about can play either the defensive midfielder position or the attacking midfielder position, like I said earlier. So we had the 5 defenders, right? We have the 2 defensive mids, and then we're going to have 2 attacking mids right on top of them, kind of like a box shape right in the middle of the field, ahead of the defenders, but below the strikers. So going to be super important to see who plays there, right? So Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman can play either one of those positions in that little box formation that we have in the middle of the field. Let's talk about Malik Tillman first, though. I kind of am going to switch this up. Malik Tillman, a little bit worse than Weston McKennie. He's also younger, but he has 28 caps for the U.S. men's national team, was the star player at the Gold Cup last year. We didn't have our best players last year at the Gold Cup, so he was the star player, one of my favorite players from that Gold Cup. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen over in Germany, a team that won the Bundesliga not that long ago. He was not on the team at that time. Now he is. He is going to be a really good player for Bayer Leverkusen. He's going to be super important for them going forward, but this summer it's all about the U.S. men's national team, right? He is one of the biggest X factors just because he has a lot of potential. He has a lot of, if he's on, right? If he is on, he's one of the best players on the field, but whenever he's off, it's a little shaky. It's kind of one of those things where you know how good he can be, but there's a few moments here and there where like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you got to be a little bit better than that. So hopefully he can be on. Hopefully he can be one of those best players on the field. If he can, this team is going to have a really, really good summer. But he can play both positions. Curious to see where he ends up. I think he will be in the starting lineup. I just think that either Weston McKennie or Malik Tillman's going to be at that higher midfield position, and then the other one's going to be at the defensive midfield position. I think both of these two are going to start. I just don't know if it's going to be in the attacking or defensive midfielder position. So we'll see how that goes. I think Malik Tillman's going to be a really important player. But Weston McKennie, look, he's one of the best players that we have. He plays for Juventus, one of the biggest clubs in Italy, an absolute superpower club in Europe, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, let's be real, okay, not just in Italy, one of the biggest clubs you can possibly be playing for. Juventus is a very big club, and Weston McKennie, physically, kind of a smaller guy, but one of the biggest players for the United States men's national team. He's going to be incredibly important. He played extremely well at Juventus this year. He's arguably our best player. Like, legitimately, he is a top 3 player, no lower than that. He is that important to this team, and he's one of those players that, whether he's playing an attacking midfielder or playing as a defensive midfielder, he's going to get forward and get into the box and get near goals, get assists, get goals. He's going to be super important for this team. Cannot wait to see what he does because he is a special, special talent. He's one of our best players. He's going to be extremely important at this World Cup. If Weston McKennie's playing well, then this team is going to be playing well, and I cannot wait to see what we're going to be doing if he is playing well. Now let's get to the set-in-stone attacking midfielders. Now, we got 4 players here, and all of them are very solid. Look, Alex Sendejas probably isn't going to play very much. Look, against Senegal, we had our starting 11, and then we subbed out 11 guys. Alex Sendejas was the last player to sub in. So it kind of tells me, okay, I don't think he's going to play all that much this summer, but I think that he's going to be really good if he does come in. He plays for Club America down in Mexico, which is very confusing. I understand that, but it is Club America down in Mexico, the biggest club in Mexico. Very, very important. Look, the reason why Alex Sendejas was brought here was because the pressure that he has on him whenever he plays at Club America. Look, we all know Mexico and how much they love their soccer, okay? So Whenever you're playing at the biggest club in Mexico, people expect you to perform. Whenever you're Alex Sendejas, which is honestly probably Club America's best player, you're going to have a ton of pressure on you. The biggest club with the biggest sport in a soccer crazy country, okay? That is a ton of pressure on you. That's why I'm excited to see if he does play at the World Cup. We know it's not going to faze him. We know that the pressure is not going to faze him because he plays under so much pressure at his club. So that's why I think he was brought here, because if we do need him, he's not gonna melt down. He's not gonna have some crazy mess up or anything like that. He's going to be a really solid player if we need him. Now moving on to a guy by the name of Brendan Aronson. He plays every week at Leeds, which is another Premier League team. So very, very solid. He's not gonna start for us. He's gonna come in probably later in the game. He's an Energizer Bunny, okay? He's one of those dudes that just never stops running, never stops playing his heart out, never stops moving. He's a very, very, very solid player. One of those dudes that you can really, rely on to always give 100%. He's never going to be like, oh, man, I'm above this team or anything like that. One of those kinds of things, right? Super solid player. He's going to come in late in games to turn things around if we really need it. He's going to be super important in games that we need him. Not sure if he's going to play a ton, but really important for games that we need him, okay? Now, moving on to Gio Reyna. Again, I don't know if he's going to start, but Gio Reyna, I'm sure you guys have heard this name before. He had a lot of issues in 2022. He's very, very, very young in 2022 at that World Cup. I believe he's only like 23 now. He's 22, 23, 24. One of those three. So he's not super old now. He wasn't super old then. Super young kid. Wanted to be playing. I believe that family was trying to blackmail the coach or something. There was something. I don't know what was going on. I wasn't super immersed in it. But he had a lot of drama in the 2022 World Cup, which is why it was such a big question mark if he was going to make the team this year. Now, he did end up making the team because he's a failed wonder kid, okay? This kid is one of those players. He's like a Jamarcus Russell. Gets drafted number 1 overall, super young guy, and then just flops, right? This guy playing at Borussia Dortmund, one of the biggest clubs in Germany, and then he just flops. He's playing super well there, but then after the World Cup, he just flops and just kind of middles around there, doesn't play. Gets a move to Borussia Mönchengladbach last year, doesn't play there almost at all. But look, Gio Reyna, he is the special case. Mauricio Pochettino, in a press conference a few months ago, called him a special case because he's a super talented kid. He had the potential to be better than Christian Pulisic. You guys, most people know who Christian Pulisic is. Gio Reyna had the potential to be better than him. Gio Reyna had the potential to be one of the best players in the world. Did not work out. It just didn't end up coming to fruition. Not one of the best players in the world by any means, but he had the potential. And the potential is slightly still there. Every once in a while you see flashes of it. It's like, oh, I can see why people thought that, If he can have those moments in the World Cup, he's going to be one of the most important players. He can come in at the 70th minute of the soccer game and come in and make a huge difference on the team. Make a huge difference. Make a really good pass through the lines or something. Through that back line that the other team's using. Make an insane pass through there. He has the potential to do that. He's one of the only players that can make a play like that on our team because he just has something special within him. Even if it doesn't show all the time, he has something special within him, one of the most talented players. So if he can come in late in games, then he's going to make a big, big impact. Now, let's get to the main event, okay? Everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. The best player, the most talented player in U.S. men's national team history, Christian Pulisic. 84 caps for the United States men's national team, playing at AC Milan, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You got players like Ronaldinho playing there. You got players like Kaká playing there. Christian Pulisic now plays there. Not only does he play, but he stars there. Look, he had a very, very, very rough 2026. 2025, whenever at the beginning of the season, one of the best players in Serie A. In my opinion, the best player in Serie A, the Italian league there in Italy. He was the best player in that league. 2026 comes, and he goes the rest of the season and doesn't score a goal. He has 2 assists, and he does not play well. Look, AC Milan had their issues. Their coach just got fired. They were in Champions League, ended up falling out of Champions League. Complete disaster to end the season. It was not Christian Pulisic's fault that he was not playing well. He's being put in positions that he doesn't play. He's playing as a striker. He is a attacking midfielder or a winger. Those are the only 2 positions that he can play. And those are the only 2 positions that he does play because he is so good at those 2 positions. Doesn't play as a striker. Milan was playing him as a striker. That was a huge issue, and he didn't thrive there. He was not playing well, so it was not his fault. And I know it wasn't his fault because just yesterday, he then comes into the U.S. men's national team. He's playing that attacking midfielder spot, and then he goes and scores his first goal of the year. So I have complete faith in Christian Pulisic that he's going to come through. He's going to turn things around for this World Cup. He always turns up big for the United States men's national team. He scored goals, had a big assist in the World Cup in 2022. Super important player. The LeBron James of soccer, as everyone calls him, Captain America, whatever you want to call him. He is our best player. He's our most talented player, and he has to come up huge for the 2026 World Cup team. If he does not come up huge, if he is playing like shit, like he has been this entire year, then he is going to struggle. This team is going to struggle because whenever things get tough, whenever we're down in the 80th minute and we need a goal or we're going home, who is that team going to look to? Look, I just talked about Weston McKennie. He just had the best season out of anyone on this team. He's really, really, really solid. You go look at a guy like Fuller and Balogun. He's a striker. We'll talk about him in just a second. People can look at him. He just scored 20 goals for Monaco in France. But the guy that people are going to look to, the fan base, the players on the field, the coaches, the fans in the stadium, who are we going to look to whenever we need a goal like that? It's Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic has to come up huge in that moment. Has to have a 2010 Algeria type of goal like Landon Donovan did, okay? That is the guy that we're going to look to whenever things get tough, whenever we have to have a goal late in the game and everything feels like the world is ending and the world is melting down. Christian Pulisic has to shine in that moment. That is where Christian Pulisic is going to make his name and leave his mark as the greatest U.S. men's national team player to ever touch the field for the red, white, and blue. Super excited to see what Christian Pulisic can do. Best player that we've ever had wear the red, white, and blue. Cannot wait to see what he can do for this World Cup. Going to be super, super important. Love what he's been doing for the United States men's national team. Just got to do it in the World Cup. Got to have that moment to solidify him as this U.S. men's national team legend. That's what Christian Pulisic is going to do. Can't wait for it. Can't wait to see it happen. Now, let's move on to the last three players on the roster. The striker position. So, just to recap, whenever I'm talking about these positions, we got the 3 center backs, we got the 2 wing backs, we got 2 defensive midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, and then a striker up top. These are our strikers up top. Look, Haji Wright, 20 caps for the United States men's national team. He did play at the World Cup in 2022. He really shouldn't have been there. Ricardo Pepi, who we'll talk about next, should have been there over him. But Haji Wright was there, and he did play decently well. Look, Haji Wright now, whenever you watch him in 2022, Haji Wright, you looked at him like, why is he here? Why he just shouldn't be here. Now you look at him it's like, oh, okay, I can see why he's here. I can see why he's playing on this team. Haji Wright is going to be pretty important because he brings a different profile than the other 2 strikers. He's very good in the air. He's a bigger guy than the other 2. He's just going to be really important in crosses and corner situations. I don't see him playing a lot just because he is the 3rd string striker. So I don't think he's going to be that important. But if we have like a very late set piece or something where we need someone to get ahead on the ball, then he can come in and make a really, really big impact. But let's get to the 2 most important strikers. Both of them are going to play, Ricardo Pepi and Fuller and Balogun. First, Ricardo Pepi, 35 caps for the United States men's national team, was a massive snub at the 2022 World Cup. He should have been there, but he's going to be incredibly important off the bench. Ricardo Pepi plays for PSV in the Netherlands, just like Serginho Dest, we talked about earlier, and those 2 have a very good connection there. Hopefully, they can have a very good connection here in the United States as well. So I really hope that they can get it going. Ricardo Pepi is going to be super important, but he's probably going to be coming off the bench, at least to start the tournament. He's going to be coming off the bench. I could very well see him starting one of the games in the group stage just because he is a very, very, very solid player. But if Fuller and Balogun, maybe he's having a bad game, maybe he's not playing as good as he could be, that's when Ricardo Pepi is going to come in late in the game. He's going to make a huge impact. He just had a very, very, very good pass against Senegal to get to Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic goes down the wing, and then he crosses it, and then Serginho Dest scores. That's the play that I was talking about earlier. That's going to be a very, very, very important player. Ricardo Pepi is going to come in late in games and make a huge impact. But the starter for the World Cup is going to be Fuller and Balogun. Flo Balogun is one of the best players that we have. He just scored 20-some-odd goals in the French league over in France. He's going to be incredibly important. He plays at one of the biggest clubs in France at Monaco. Everyone knows how rich the city of Monaco is. They're going to be a very, very, very good club going forward. But most importantly, Fuller and Balogun is the most important player for the United States national team because he's playing that striker position. Look, he's not the best player. That is going to be Christian Pulisic. That's going to be Weston McKennie, one of those two. But Fuller and Balogun can probably score the most goals on this team. He's probably going to be scoring the most goals because he's playing that striker position. He's going to be forward a lot. He makes really good runs in behind lines. He's going to make a huge impact on this team. He scores lots of goals. He can score from anywhere on the field. Super important player. He is the striker, our number 9 going into the 2026 World Cup, and I cannot speak to how good he is. There was a run there. He scored for 10 straight games in the French League during this spring. Was absolutely on fire, and if he can continue that into the 2026 World Cup, we're going to be making the group stage. We're going to be winning World Cup knockout round games if he can play to the highest level that he possibly can. So that's the team. That's the team. That's every single player on the 2026 World Cup team. But let's look at how we're going to do going into our group. Now, starting off, we will be playing the South American team, Paraguay. Have not made the tournament since 2010, and that sounds like, oh, okay, they're not very good. That's not true. That is not true at all. They beat Brazil in World Cup qualifying. They are one of the better teams in South America because they defend so well. They're one of those teams that are going to sit back and then they'll pounce on you on the counterattack. Once you lose the ball, it's pass, goal. That's how they score goals. That they don't score a lot of goals because they are a very defensive-minded team, but that's going to be a very tough game. Look, if there's going to be a game that we have a draw, it's going to be Paraguay. It's going to be Paraguay. Look, I think we're going to win. If I had to guess that we're going to win, but Paraguay is a very tough team. So I'm very interested to see how that game goes. If we lose that first game, it's going to get really tense. If we lose that game and we have to have 2 really big performances in the second and third games, it's going to get really tense. It's going to be a little, the pucker meter is going to go up quite a bit, okay? It's going to be tough if we lose that first game, but I don't think we're going to. If we can at least get a draw, if we can at least get a point out of that game, I'm going to be feeling pretty decent. Look, we should win that game. But even if we don't, if we can at least get a draw, then I'm going to be feeling okay. I'm going to be not great, but going to be feeling okay. Going to be tough to win the group if we get a draw, though. If we want to win the group, we probably need to win this game because Turkey, who the other team is that probably can win this group, that's going to be really tough to beat if we can't beat Paraguay. So we'll see. See how it goes. The World Cup is very, very, very weird. Weird things happen all the time. But if we lose, it's just going to start getting a little rough. Now, I do want to remind you guys that this World Cup is different from the previous World Cups. Not only do the first 2 teams get in, but whenever you combine all the groups together, 8 more third-place teams will also be going through to the knockout round. So there is a way to finish third and still move on from the group. Moving on to our second game, Australia. Very, very, very similar to Paraguay. Defensive-minded team, going to hit you on the counterattack. That's how they want to score goals, but they're not going to score a ton of goals because they're a defensive-minded team. They're just not as good as Paraguay. So this is the game that everyone's saying we should win. This is the game that we're saying, okay, that game we should win, but that's dangerous because Australia is a very, very good team. They're very defensively sound. They're just not that good. You know what I mean? It's a team that we should beat, but definitely a game that we can lose at the same time if we're not careful. We only beat them 2-1 last year in a friendly, and they didn't have a lot of their best players. We didn't have a lot of our best players, but they didn't have a lot of their best players, so they're going to get better. That's going to be a tough game. And look, a lot of people in the media positions of the United States have said a lot of things about how we should beat this team. They have a lot of bulletin board material. They know that we expect to beat them. They know that we think that we are much better than them, which we are. I do think that we are much better than them. But weird things happen at the World Cup all the time. We have to be careful. Can't be looking forward to the game against Turkey because that is our main game. Turkey is our best opponent in the World Cup. Can't be looking forward to that. Can't fall asleep because we know that we're better than them. That is a game that we have to be mentally strong. That is a game that I worry about because this team has shown that they're not very mentally strong. So we'll see how this Australia game goes. We should win that game, but wouldn't be shocked if we don't. So let's move on to Turkey. By far the hardest team that we have to play in this group. One of the best teams in Europe. They made a quarterfinal at the European Championships in 2024. Going to be a very tough out because they have 2 players by the name of Kenan Yildiz, who plays at Juventus there in Italy, same club as Weston McKennie, the club that I was talking about. Oh, it's one of the biggest clubs in Europe. That's where Kenny Yildiz plays. Arda Güler, one of the midfielders for that Real Madrid team. He's going to be playing for Turkey. I don't know if you guys have heard of the team called, I think it's Real Madrid. I think they had Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale. I think there was one player by the name of Luka Modric. I think he might have won best player at the 2018 World Cup or something like that. I think that Real Madrid team, I think they're kind of good. So if Arda Güler is playing there, he must be pretty darn good too. So really, really nervous about those two players because Kenan Yildiz, I don't think he's as good as Christian Pulisic. Whenever Christian Pulisic is on, I don't think he's as good as Christian Pulisic, but Arda Güler might be the best player on that field, might be a better player than anything that we have. So really, really nervous for that Turkey game if the first two games don't go well. Look, we should win the first two games. Then we should be able to be safe and be in the next round already. Then we'll be a little less nervous for Turkey. If we draw or we lose one of those first two games, then that Turkey game becomes that much important, and we have to find a result there. Super nervous for that game. That game's going to be super tense. But I think we should pull it out. I think overall we have the better team. They have the top end talent, but I think that we have the better team, and we should win that game as well. We should, but I very well could see that game being a draw or even a loss for the United States men's national team. But we should get out of the group, and we should be into the knockout. So not going to get too much into that just because it gets confusing, who we're going to play against. Because if we win the group, then we play a third place team from it could be from 5 different groups, and that doesn't make any sense. And then the second place, we'll play, I think, second place, I actually know the route the best because we'll play the second best place team from the group that Iran is in, or Iran, sorry. If Iran gets second, then Iran and the United States are going to be playing against each other, and that's going to be, I don't even want to think about that. So if we win that game against Iran, we'll be playing against Argentina, and then if we win that, we'll be playing in Kansas City, which is where I'm from. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for, and that would be super, super, super cool. But that does include beating Argentina, so we'll see if that happens. But we'll get there whenever we get there. Just really excited to see what this team can do. Now, here's what I ask from the team, is to realize the moment. And this is whenever I start to get emotional, whenever I talk about this kind of stuff. And this is why I'm so excited for the World Cup. That's why I'm doing an episode on a college football podcast. That's why I'm doing an episode on the 2026 World Cup, is this. I hope that the United States men's national team can realize the moment that they're in. I hope that the players on that team and the coaches on that staff can realize the moment that they have and the ability that they have for the United States. Look, the United States is a melting pot of everyone in the world. Everyone knows how special our culture is because it has so many different cultures baked into it. And I love that. So that leads me to believe that the United States is a sleeping giant in the world of soccer. And I believe this deep in my heart. I understand that if anyone from Europe hears me say that, they're going to just burst out laughing. I totally understand that. But look, we are one of the richest countries in the world just because we have all these facilities. We have all this ability. We have nice places to go and play soccer. We can go and train. We just need kids to start to love the game. And kids that play soccer are looking to the skies and thinking, man, I want to be like this player someday. I want to be like this player someday. Oh, wait. They don't really have anyone to look up to. A home World Cup, you can change that. Playing on their home soil, a kid sitting in, I don't know, Lubbock, Texas, can look at a player and say, I want to be like that someday. I did that. In 2014, during that World Cup, I was watching those games against Ghana, and I was watching those games against Portugal and Germany, and my sister, she was playing soccer at the time, so I was all the way in it, and I'm watching that game, and I see Clinton Dempsey getting knocked in the face and bleeding all over the place, and he's scoring goals 30 seconds into the game, and I see Clinton Dempsey playing that well, and I look at him, and I think, I want to be like that. I started wearing the number 8 whenever I played soccer. I had never worn the number 8 before. I had always been a 14 or the number 2 in every single sport that I ever played. I was number 14. That was my main number. And the number 2. That was my other main number. So I started wearing number 8 because I wanted to be like Clinton Dempsey. I dreamed of being like Clinton Dempsey. I want players to do that. I want little kids to do that. Whenever they're watching this team, I want them to look at them and be like, man, I want to be that someday. And then those athletes, the insane athletes that America has, we all know how much we dominate the Summer Olympics, at least the Winter Olympics. We're close, but the Summer Olympics, we absolutely dominate. I want our athletes to have a ton of potential and have all these facilities to train. I want them to look at this team and think, I want to be that someday. That's what I hope for this team. I hope that this team can understand the ability that they're going to have to grow the game of soccer in the United States and bring it to the level that we have in baseball, basketball, football. Bring it to the level that we have and bring talented kids into that playing field and making them want to be the next great thing, making them want to be the greatest soccer player in the world, because I think we can produce that. I just think we haven't yet. But I just pray that this team understands the moment and the ability that they have, and I pray that they don't waste it, because it is insanely important. If we can get to a quarterfinal, if we can get to a semifinal, I'm going to start getting emotional because I love it and it means so much to me, and I want this country to do something special. And inside of that, what I ask for you, the fan watching the games, look, I know how tiring this stupid and how much it irks me how many people just say, oh yeah, we're gonna get grouped. The U.S., we suck at soccer. We're terrible. We're gonna be horrible. We didn't even make the World Cup a few years ago. I'm so sick of that. This is the most talented generation of soccer players that we've ever had. Look, they don't have the mentality. That's why I'm just talking about, I hope that they realize the moment, because they don't have the mentality that our old teams have had. And I expect them to have that going into the World Cup, because if you can't get up for the World Cup, you're not going to get up for really any other soccer game. So I hope that they have that. But for the fans that think, oh, it's U.S. soccer, we're going to do terrible, and I hope my dad's in the other room, and I hope that he's listening to this, because he does this all the time, and it makes me so mad. I want this fan base, I want every single American who watches this team to believe, because that does something. Go back to 1980 whenever we beat the USSR in the 1980 gold medal game in hockey. The whole country, it didn't matter that we had all these amateur hockey players playing against the greatest hockey team in the world. This whole country believed that we could do something special. We all came together and fought for each other and believed in that group of kids going against the greatest team in the world. Everyone believed that they could do it, and they did it. Believing in the country coming together for something like that does something to the team. It just does. Go look at 2002 South Korea playing extremely well in that World Cup at home. Go look at Qatar and Saudi Arabia playing in the World Cup in Qatar. Go look at Morocco. Those teams playing in it wasn't their specific home country, but it was pretty dang close to those countries. Those teams outperformed every expectation. Saudi Arabia beat the eventual champions Argentina. Morocco went to the semifinals. They did something special because the people behind them got behind them and they believed, and it didn't matter what they thought was going to happen. It didn't matter what the paper said should happen. They believed in that team, and something special came of it. And I believe in this team, and I just ask every single American that watches these games to believe in this team, no matter what, no matter how bad the team has been in the past, no matter how much we've been disappointed in the past. Just go out there and believe that we can do something special. That's going to do it for our show. I know it's super different. If you are in this episode watching because you're a soccer fan, don't subscribe, quite frankly, because this is a college football podcast. I love soccer, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited for the World Cup. I just wanted to get it out somewhere, and I hope you guys did enjoy a little bit of something different here for this week. Super excited. I hope Christian Pulisic can come up huge. Look, we've had this jersey up here for the past few months on this podcast because of the 2026 World Cup. It'll come down after the World Cup and everything. But, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be the greatest soccer tournament. It's going to be the greatest event, not just greatest sporting event. It's going to be the greatest event in the history of mankind, and I cannot wait for it. It's going to be the biggest sporting event ever, going to be the biggest event ever, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys go out there and go to watch parties, go have fun, go to parties, go have fun in the streets. If we start winning, just go out there, have fun, believe in the team, and hope that we can do something special this summer on home soil in 2026. But that's going to do it for our show. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me how far you think this United States national team can go. And I'll see you guys again next week.